I'm trying to be present, but I don't think I really understood how hard being present really is. Presence for me for a very long time has been non-existent. I am a out of sight, out of mind type of guy. I in my past have not taken time to process certain things that I go through, to process certain experiences that I go through, to process certain traumas that I go through. And I am now realizing as I am working on becoming more present that it's hard work. It makes me think about presence being more of a muscle that you work instead of like a light switch that you can just flip on and flip off. I wish it was something as easy as flipping a light switch on and off, because then I would probably be the most present person there is. But what I am learning is that presence is hard work. It takes time, it takes real intention, and there are so many things that you want to be present for. It takes prioritization. I remember when I used to work in corporate, I would be putting out fires at work and everything like that. There were so many experiences that were going on, and then I would go home and I'd be home with my family working on another thing, not work per se, not the corporate job, not the 9 to 5 job, but my 5 to 9 work. I would be caught up in that. It would be a very difficult thing for me to do in terms of like sitting down. I couldn't do it. I couldn't sit down. I couldn't process. I'd just be looking for the next thing. Now, I don't know if that might be due to me having ADHD. I don't know if that's just due to me just not having the language or the know-how of processing in general. Maybe it is a combination of the two. Maybe there are more variables that I'm missing. Maybe. All I know is now, one of the things that I have learned in being a chaplain and practicing presence as a ministry is that presence takes intentional work. And presence doesn't always look like you doing something all the time. In my experience so far, and granted, I don't have a vast array of experience in the chaplaincy just yet, or even a vast array of pastoring, because I've only been in the pastorate about 2 years, maybe. But in those times, when I have asked someone, yo, you're dealing with a lot right now, how can I support you? The number one answer that I get is, you're already doing it. We're talking. You're here. I just appreciate you being a listening presence. For me, a fixer and a doer, that was a very hard thing for me to accept. But enough people tell you something, you start to realize maybe you're the one who's got it wrong, and maybe they might be onto something. So I've learned that while presence is a hard thing, the extra layer for me is that not only is it an intentional thing, not only is it a prioritization thing, but it's also something that doesn't yield instant fruit. You don't get automatic results or instant results when you are practicing the ministry of presence. And for millennials and generations below, or not below as in like a bad thing, but just generations after us, let's say, we are conditioned to get instant gratification. whether it be a dopamine hit, whether it be scrolling online, a quick win on a phone game or a video game. We have been conditioned to want to get instant results, instant gratification. And in this realm, in the chaplaincy, in the pastorate, in practicing presence in general, all good things take time. You don't plant a seed and demand the tree to grow right then and there. It takes time. And you know what? To take that a step further, I heard it in the form of a quote, and I might butcher it a bit, so you guys let me know if you know the quote exactly. But it goes something like this: the one who plants the seed knowing that they may never even sit underneath the shade that tree may one day provide has finally grasped the understanding or the beginning of what it means to know about life. Something along those lines. Like I said, I'm butchering it. But essentially, we are seed planters. And the seeds that we plant in the chaplaincy and the pastorate as believers in general, when we are maybe discipling or encouraging or just being a light in general, we will plant seeds in people. We will plant seeds with maybe starting programs or initiatives or just doing service work in general, serving others. And you might never, ever, ever even see the fruit start to blossom from that seed that you planted. But your job as a planter is to plant. Your job is not to watch it grow. Your job is not to biohack some type of way so you can see results faster or get you a tree in 90 days or your money back type of deal. No. Your job is to practice presence. And that sometimes is slow, and that sometimes doesn't yield fruit immediately, but that's not your concern. And that's what I have been learning. I have been in positions, job-wise or role-wise, to where I typically have to do something that will yield a result. I spent 10 years in sales, right? So everything is on a metric, everything is tracked, everything is actionable. You can see your results or whether or not you're getting results in your sales numbers, right? Even before that, as a journalist, I had to put out a package, a broadcast package, every single day. So you would know results-wise whether you had a good story or a bad story, whether you did great with your story or not. You would know, right? You would get some type of feedback that will help you continue that loop and continue your work. But in this field, in the chaplaincy, in the pastorate, practicing presence is a hard thing more so, I think, at least for me it is, a hard thing more so because it's hard to track whether or not the things I'm doing is working. And the only way that I get any inkling of things going well or things working in my world is when I ask people, how can I support you? And they tell me that you're already doing a great job. I appreciate you. And that's probably a whole conversation for a different time, because a part of me also struggles with receiving compliments and owning those compliments, right? So that has been my struggle. That's what I've been learning lately. And I think the funny thing about God in all of this is that God is so intentional, and he has prioritization down pat. Of course, he has it down to a science, but he's so intentional and so present, of course, because he's omnipresent. But it's to the point to where we don't, I mean, sometimes we do, but we don't necessarily look to God for instant results all the time. Because if we do, I think eventually what happens is once God finally does answer you after you don't get your thing back instantly like you were looking for, you learn, one, of course, everything happens on God's time, not my own, right? And then another thing I think happens is that you learn that patience is actually a virtue. Mind you, patience is one of the fruits of the Spirit. right? So in a way, God is orchestrating our lives in such a way, of course, to be filled with the fruits of the Spirit, to where those are what people know us for. Of course, we want to be known by love first and foremost, but He is pruning us or molding us or shaping us into who He wants us to be by putting us in positions or situations or in roles where we will become exactly what He wants us to be. And one of the things that I am learning about my relationship with God is that He wants me to be someone who can take stock of the moments that I have been given by God. And I think that's one of the greatest gifts I can ever receive from Him in this season, because it is only now, as I get older, of course, as my children get older, as I'm about to embark on my grad school journey, as I continue to go deeper into the pastorate with ministry and preaching and teaching, the Lord has given me all these different kinds of things, and He has given me these different responsibilities to steward. Yes, but He's also placed amazing little moments throughout all of these things, throughout fatherhood, throughout the ministry of marriage, throughout the ministry of the chaplaincy, the ministry of the pastorate, the ministry of even going to school. There will be these moments, and that's not even adding the community that I'm a part of, the church that I'm a part of. God said the pastorate, right? But there's pastoring, and then there's community, which is like your regular community, and then there's like your church community, right? I, I don't count those as the same thing. There's certain things I do with certain community members that I don't do with my church community members, and vice versa. That's just it. But all of those areas of my life are going to be littered with moments that the Lord will also want me to take stock of and be present in, because how many of us know that the Lord speaks to us in those moments? It might not be the audible, this is a moment type of thing, but it might be a small moment or a small exchange between you and someone else that you just like, you savor those things. An example for me is whenever I see my kids do anything cute, or like, like one of those, it's just one of those moments where a child's laughter, or you see the kids playing with each other, enjoying life, just full of joy. There are times when that happens, and me and my wife will just look at each other and we'll smile, because we realize in those moments that this is what it's about. This is the blessing. This is the treasure. This is the moment. Savor it. It also gives me this idea, because I love film, I love creative stuff, and I'm always world building scenes, movies, characters, whatever. And one of the scenes that I think of when it comes to those type of moments is a scene to where, let's say for instance, I've lived a long, fruitful life, Lord willing. I'm on my deathbed, ready to go home to the Lord at the tender age of 104. I've already written my memoirs. My wife had already gone on to glory about 4 years before me. We've already talked about this, y'all. This is not a surprise to her. Okay? And in that moment, while I'm on my deathbed, let's say I'm in and out, going in like a purgatory type of thing, or purgatory, not really, but just like, so when they say you see the light and everything like that, or you see like your version of heaven. In my mind, my version of heaven is like me in the waiting room, and there's only one chair in the waiting room, and I'm sitting in that chair waiting. And then there's this little ticker showing a number, but the counter is all 000, and I have a ticket, and that ticket says 00001. So I'm the only person in line. I'm right up next, but I'm still sitting in the waiting room. And as I'm waiting in that waiting room, I get a little parched. I get a little thirsty. I look to my left, and I see a vending machine. And it's this vending machine full of all types of beverages. And in the beverages, to the natural eye, you might be like, oh, there's a Coke, oh, there's a Sprite, a Gatorade here, blah, 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 blah. But in actuality, in that vending machine of mine are memories in my life, moments in my life. and I can pick one. I'll hit A3 and select A3, and I crack open the top and take off the lid to that drink, and I sip on the moment where my daughter graduates from kindergarten, right? Or I sip on it, or I hit B7, and then I crack open the lid of that, and I sip on the moment of me and my wife saying vows to each other for the first time. Or I crack open another one, and I hit D4, and I sip on the moment when our children were born. Moments, small moments in time, but moments that you savor and you want to cherish and remember for the rest of your life, because those were the moments that made your life worth it. I believe what the Lord is calling me to now in terms of being present is understanding that presence is important, of course, but the reason why presence is important is because the Lord has blessed us in the moments that we miss so often, because we're always looking for the next thing to do. You hit one mountaintop and then you're looking for the next mountaintop because you're on the top of that mountaintop looking at that peak. That was the speed and the trajectory that I was on. But in this role as a chaplain now, I'm able to slow things down. Take stock of what's going on in my life. What am I grateful for? Where has the Lord shown up in my life that I didn't realize, but is an immense blessing? I want to be more aware of those little moments so I can stock up my vending machine and have memories worth savoring when it's all said and done. Could you imagine going to your deathbed or sitting, it's the same example too, or like the same thing. It could be sitting at the deathbed and then you have your family around you, but you're just talking about all the good times that you had. You're not talking about if you should have spent more money here, you should have made more money there, I should have worked harder there. You're more so talking about, you remember that time where you fell down the stairs, or you remember that time where we all went here and we played this? Those moments are important, and it's those moments that really matter when you're at the end of your life. And the Lord has brought to my awareness that it's those moments that I need to start taking stock of and making a little, let's say, wine library. Let's call it that, a wine library. So as I get older and as I experience more of these moments that the Lord will give me in being present through chaplaincy, in being a servant in the ministry of the pastorate, in being a servant as a husband, a servant as a father, a servant as a disciple of Jesus, a servant as a disciple maker. I want to be aware of all these moments because I want to savor them like a fine wine. And I want to build a library up of those things, because it is those things now that helps me track and not only does it help me track what I'm doing, it also helps me stay on track so I can keep going. So, my question to you is, what are those moments in your life? Where has the Lord been trying to get your attention, but you've been too busy? Coming from someone who has the middle name of busy, I promise you life gets better when you slow down. What are we always in a rush for anyway? What are we rushing to? The Southern Saints back where I was raised would say, baby, you're going nowhere fast. I'm not trying to go nowhere fast. I want to go 2 miles an hour so everybody sees me. And while everybody's looking at me, I want to be shining a light amongst men so that they can see my good works. Shining a light of love so that they'll know that I'm a follower of Jesus because of how I love, how I show love to others, how I serve others. I want to go 2 miles an hour now. So what are those moments in your life? What are those moments that you might have sped past, that you might need to throw it in reverse and go back and take stock of? What are we not processing? And then ask yourself why. Because there's always a reason. Let me know in the comments. Please like, follow, and subscribe for more. I will be putting out videos like this every Friday, every week on Friday at 11 a.m. Juneteenth is coming up tomorrow. I hope you have a happy Juneteenth. I know I will. If it wasn't for people who look like me, one, my mother, my grandmother, people in the community, first of all, my people who come before me, this country wouldn't be what it is today. One, let's just keep it a buck. But two, I wouldn't be where I am today. I always heard this phrase, and I agree with it every time because I just love us. I love us like for real. But man, make me black in every lifetime. So until the next one, until I see you again, God bless you. God keep you. God bless you. I always say the blessings twice because sometimes you need double for your trouble. Peace.